Hey everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And today I have Sunahtah Jones with me. Hey Sunahtah, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing well as I can during this pandemic, but I'm doing well.
I love that. I love that. Well, we are here because we want to talk about Spice Cam. So before we even get into that, let us begin with a little bit of a background with you and, all your ventures and how you started with this wonderful Spice Cam. So, yeah, let's begin with that.
Right, awesome. So I'm actually originally from New Jersey. So once I graduated high school, I went to college in Florida, Tampa, Florida at USF. Um,
Hmm.
got my master's there as well. I actually thought I wanted to be a professor. Um, I wanted to be a professor, and but I've been doing photography since for as long as I can remember. I bought my first camera like in college, like my sophomore year of college, but I never really took myself seriously. I would really just use it to give myself some downtime and to just help me with my like college depression, life depression and stuff like that. And then, I graduated with my master's and I wanted to go into a doctoral program. I actually wanted to go to Emory. It was like,
Oh,
yeah, it was my dream school. And then I didn't get accepted. So I didn't get accepted. So that like devastated me. And, I've always wanted to live in Atlanta. Like I wanted to get my master's out here actually. Um, but I always wanted to move to Atlanta. And then after, everything fell through with Emory, I was just like, I had my little cry and stuff. I had my little time to be sad. And then, I was just like, I can still move to Atlanta. I can still really do anything that I want to do. Like this is kind of like a new start for me and stuff. So, when I got to Atlanta, I just really started taking myself seriously as a poet and because I write poetry as well.
hmm.
I classify myself not only as a poet and a photographer, but creative in general. So, when I got to Atlanta, I bought myself another camera because the one I bought in college was like long gone. So I bought myself another camera when I moved to Atlanta and I just, started taking pictures, of myself. I really started with like self portraits and landscape photography. That was like my real strong suit. And then I would post like my self portraits on Twitter and stuff and I would see the amount of, like traction it would get. And I would just be like, oh, okay. I literally took a sheet, like a bed sheet from Walmart and put it on a wall and went in my one of my bedrooms. And I would literally just take pictures with my camera in front of it. And they came out really, really nice. And I just started, practicing more. And I was just like, you know what? Like I should take myself seriously. And as far as SpiceCamVisuals, the name came about
Yeah, I was
because
just about to ask you where you got the name from.
the name came about because on Twitter, I changed my display name to Spice Daddy. I can't even remember why. I I can't even remember why, but it just like really started sticking
Hmm.
and started like addressing me as that, like in real life. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
blah blah, and I would just be like, okay. So then I was sitting there trying to come up with different names, like names that really screamed like me. And I was messing around on Photoshop and Illustrator for like days trying to come up with a logo and stuff. And then I was like, Spice Cam Visuals. Spice
Ah.
Cam Visuals. And I was just like, that's it. That's it. So, since then I just ran with that. And since then I've just been, trying to get better as a photographer and a creative, just learning more and branching out. That's been a little difficult as far as networking because of COVID.
Yeah, I was,
But
yeah.
yeah, so that's been a little difficult, but I've still been making a lot of, connections out here in Atlanta. And my friend Sage and I, who is also a photographer, who is also a non-binary photographer
Hmm.
like me, we came together because they're from Philly. So we're both not from Atlanta.
Yeah.
We both moved here and I met them on Twitter, which is
Hmm.
funny. We became like really good friends and we were just hanging out and we were just like, for there to be so much talent in Atlanta, there's not enough community.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did we started really just talking about how we wanted more Black queer creative community specifically because Atlanta is a great place. There's so much opportunity, but there's also like a lot of elitism.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also, I feel like as Black people in general, we're taught to have like a kind of crab in a barrel kind of mentality. Unfortunately, is something that, not just Black people in general, but, we're living under a capitalistic institutions that teach us that we can't work together for real, that we have to one up each other. And, my friend Sage and I, we were just like, we don't like that. Like, we want to, be able to make friends and, genuine bonds with other creatives, especially, if you're lucky enough for your stuff to like really take off, you want to be surrounded by people that you trust, and you want to be surrounded by people who are going to tell you the truth about,
Certainly.
about your
Certainly.
artwork and stuff. I want to be surrounded by people who care about me enough to tell the truth. So, that's when we came up with Optic 35. So, if you want to follow on social media, it's Optic 35 on Twitter, and Optic period or dot 35, like 35 as in 35, like the number,
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram if you want to follow us. And we're also having a Zoom informational meeting on Saturday the 19th. So, and
Awesome. And by the way, when we get to the end, I'll have you do all the plugs that you want to do at the end, including social media, all of that as well. So
okay.
I'm going to give you a whole opportunity to do that. Question though, not even question. I'm really intrigued by your story because one, I have a lot of family in Atlanta, so I'm there quite a lot. So I get the Atlanta you're talking about too. I also applied to Emory. I did get in. I didn't go though because I'm an international student, and so all the colleges I was applying to here, I was only going to go if I got a scholarship from them. So I called Emory the day when I got the acceptance letter. I was like, so I see the acceptance letter, but what I don't see is the financial aid.
How they get you. How they get
And
you.
on the call, they were like, well, we sent both of them out at the same time. So if you don't have that one, then you weren't awarded any. Then she was like, well, we'll see you for, accepted students. Then I said, I don't think you will, but have a great. And I will say that part of the reason for me choosing to do school here was because I was queer. It informs a lot of the choices we make in life. So tell me being a non-binary lesbian as you are, how does that influence your craft? How that influence your art, and the things you do? And when you're taking pictures, when you're writing poems, what are the themes that you like to explore?
That is a great question. I really love that question. It honestly, especially, writing wise, poetry, my identities have always influenced like my poems. As far as poetry, I write a lot about being a queer Black person, a lesbian, and a non-binary person specifically, about how all those identities are all like mashed up and inseparable for me because, oftentimes, we're told that you have to separate them, and
Hmm.
you can't. You can't. What I'm a Black non-binary lesbian, those are things that cannot be separated. So as far as how it translates to my artistry, is also really in my art and creativity, it's important for me to always be outside of the box, outside of the margins. So when I'm doing creative shoots
Hmm.
specifically, I always want to have a variety of people. I don't ever want the people that if you ever look at my pictures on any of my social media, it's always a variety of people. It's not this, no person looks the same.
Yeah.
No person identifies the same. Not all the people that I work with are cisgender.
Hmm.
I like to portray a mixture of people, and I like to portray a mixture of expressions. That means femininity, masculinity, those things wrapped up, together. I like to portray, all of those things, the whole spectrum. And that's
Hmm.
really, really important for me in my artistry to be able to really exhibit that and to not be, closed or condensed into, binaries.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. So now, since you've been doing this for a while, you're in Atlanta and everything, what lessons have you learned, during this, and what's the advice that you would give to, fellow creatives who are out there trying to make it as well?
Some really important things that I've learned that I'm still, continuing to grapple with, I will say, is one, you can't compare your journey to other people's journeys. It will drive you insane. It will make your imposter syndrome so much worse. It will make you want to give up because I've had, those times. And sometimes I do still have those times where, my work isn't getting the kind of recognition that I wanted to get. And, at that point, you just have to tell yourself, as long as you think, honestly, what I tell people, as long as you think that you're the ish,
Hmm.
that's all that matters. You just have to think that you are popping. You just have to remember that you are that person. Hold on one second. Let me turn off my heater.
No problem. Ooh.
So, it's important for you to just not compare yourself to other people's journeys because everyone's journey is different. And, internet recognition is not the end all be all, and you just have to keep working. That's why I always tell myself is just to keep creating, and the right people are going to recognize your work at the end of the day. So, and it's not all about, likes and retweets and stuff like that. Art transcends all of those things, all
Yes.
of the material, all of those things. Art transcends all of that, and at the end of the day, that's what you have to keep remembering. You have to remember what is the reason why I'm making these things? What kind of joy does it bring me? And what do I want to show the world through my art? So that's one major lesson that I've definitely, learned while being here. And the second, I'm going to give three. The second major lesson that I've learned is that it's important to build community and it's important to learn from other creatives. I think that a lot of people, and I used to be one of those people. I'm a Gemini as well, so I think that that
Oh,
contributes.
I'm a Gemini. Oh my
Okay,
God.
yes. Everybody hates us, but
I know, but I don't know why. We're the best.
the real enemies are like Pisces, but
Both my parents are Pisces.
oh,
Mess.
yes, yes, but yeah, it's important to build community. It's important to be able to ask for help. If you don't know about something, it's okay for another creative to give you some pointers.
Mhm.
I used to have a hard time with that because I used to kind of feel like, oh, you're patronizing me. Oh, you think that you're better than me. But that's a very egotistical way of thinking.
Mhm.
And once you unlearn that, it's just like way easier to build community. And you should be able to learn from other creatives because none of us know everything about everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's impossible to know
It
everything about
is. It
everything.
is.
Yeah, so you should want to learn from other people. And the third important thing that I've learned thus far is contracts. Contracts, because you know and I'm still learning more about that as well, because I feel like with each shoot you kind of see like more things like I should add that to my contract. I should,
Yeah.
when it comes to how many edits you're going to give them, on the amount of time that they should expect you, like the amount of turnaround time that they should expect, what to do if they ask for raw pictures, because that's something that people do. And if someone's asking you for raw pictures, you should charge them for that, because that's your work unedited, which
Yeah.
they can manipulate in any kind of way. That's something that I had to learn about too. So contracts definitely, and just like the legality behind photo shoots and stuff, it's easier if you're just shooting with your friends and stuff, that's like whatever. But if you're like making prints and you're selling them, and it has like somebody's image, you took a picture of someone and you're selling prints to them, that's something that has to be in contract form. Just learning about all like the the real concrete business aspect of creativity, I definitely, have learned way more about, since being in Atlanta.
Yeah, and that is so important because, creatives get taken advantage a lot, by, those people, whomever is managing other business things, anything, when many times when it comes to business and managing that money, that creatives make many times, either they're taken advantage of or they're not aware of this legal thing or this business thing or this whatever, which can be a disadvantage. So I think that is sage, very sage advice, very sage advice. Now, how do you use your art to speak about the things that you are passionate about, politically and socially?
That's a great question too. With my creativity, I don't think I have a single piece of work that didn't speak to culture or social justice issues. My artwork always has underlying messages. Like one of my favorite recent photos that I did was an Afrofuturism
Mm-hmm.
shoot, in which I styled the model, and I kind of got the idea from mixing Lovecraft Country with
Mm-hmm.
Fifth Element. The Fifth Element.
Ah.
So I kind of got, because I'm a real like sci-fi nerd, like I love
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi.
Oh,
So
same.
yeah, just mixing those two together and also having like that Black women representation in it, because sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes when you watch sci-fi, especially old sci-fi movies, there's not really Black people in it. There's not really Black people in it, which is crazy when you think about just the histories of Black civilizations and how futuristic Black
Mm-hmm.
civilizations have been throughout history. Like I'm talking about like during the BC and
Yes.
centuries ago. I feel like that's not really recognized. And even when you think about the pyramids, things like that, all these structures that have been built in Black countries, and that kind of futurism that is, I would say, inherent in a lot of Black
Oh,
civilizations,
100%.
constantly overlooked. So that's something that I wanted to bring to light, in that specific shoot. And in my poetry, especially, I always talk about, that's most of the time. If I'm not talking about like love and heartbreak and stuff like that, I'm talking about social issues. One of my most known poems, I guess, by people that I know, I performed it a lot in college. This was before I came out as non-binary, so I titled it Black and Woman. And in that poem, I just talked about like grappling with all of those identities. And I talked about how being a Black lesbian, I'm not accepted by Black cishet people. And
Mm-hmm.
then being a Black lesbian, I'm not accepted by non-Black people, not
Mm-hmm.
accepted by white people or institutions that were created, by white people. And I just talked about, grappling with all those identities and how it's really shaped my life and experiences and my interactions with people,
Yeah.
because they address me as not as a person, but as what they perceive me to be, and
Mm.
that's something I still deal with. Even more now that I identify as non-binary, getting misgendered all the time and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So those are things that I really, try to translate and illustrate in my art.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, now that we're, coming down to the wire, I'm going to give you the opportunity to plug anything you want to plug, social media, upcoming events, and, how people can reach out to you and commission or anything like that if they need to.
Awesome. Okay, so SpiceCamVisuals is my Twitter and Instagram. So it's SpiceCamVisuals, SpiceCamVisuals on Twitter and Instagram. And I also sell prints on Etsy. And to find me, all you have to do is type in SpiceCamVisuals in Etsy, and then you'll find my print shop. And I can be contacted via email for bookings. You can contact me via email or DM on any of my social media platforms. And my photography email is spicecamvisuals@gmail.com. So those are all my personal, photography socials. And as far as my Black queer visual artist collective, that myself and my friend Sage founded, we are having a informational meeting. Our first informational meeting is coming up on Saturday, December 19th. Yes, December 19th. And that's going to be at 6 p.m. But in order to be given the Zoom link, you just have to RSVP, before the deadline, before the day of it. So you can find that link at optic.35. That's optic.35 on Instagram, or optic35. That's optic35 on Twitter. So you can go to either of those platforms and you'll find a link to RSVP, and you'll find information to all of our upcoming events and stuff like that. We're planning on doing some really amazing things, with that photography collective. We're
Mm-hmm.
starting, as far as membership, we're starting with just creatives in Atlanta, just Black queer creatives in Atlanta. But the way that we're doing it is that it's also going to be like a networking, like informational kind of organization. So we're going to have workshops like photography, videography workshops, things like that. And, we're going to have them online digitally. So even if you're not in the Atlanta area, they're open to everybody. So
Mm.
don't be afraid to, contact us. But yeah, definitely reach out. I'm super nice.
Awesome.
Always
Please.
looking, new friends in Atlanta, especially like new creative friends. And for bookings or any questions, feel free to DM or email me.
Awesome, awesome, amazing. Listen, Sunahtah, thank you so much for joining me today. Viewers, the links will be in the description. And it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you. Thank
Of
you.
course. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.